Okay, there we go. And I'm just going to put the first slide. I'm not going to destroy your attention by doing lots and lots of slides, but there are a few slides. Let's get that set up. So why now is the time to step up and live the life you're born to lead? So why I'm doing this presentation, and I believe this is my life purpose at this time, to assist more people into being their authentic selves, to getting through any blocks they have to manifesting their life purpose. And the more people who are living their truth, living their purpose, the better the state of the planet and humanity. So I want to see more people living their calling and changing society. How many people think they know what their life purpose is at the moment? Would you want to just say or put it in the chat box? Anyone want to volunteer? No. Okay. That's fine. Silence is good. Oh, I've got one comment. Kind of. John, kind of. Okay. Not altogether sure. Well, that's great because we've got one. Yes, can see it. Oh, that's the slide. Can see the slide. Yeah. That changes through the years. Okay, we maybe have different callings at different times, and when I go through the presentation, you'll see how I've gradually got more and more into my calling, and it's taken a while. So I call myself an Ascension Coach now. It was about 4 years ago, I announced to a group in Liverpool, I'm an Ascension Coach, before I even knew it was a thing. And then I found that other people are doing it. I haven't invented the term. And I'll explain in a moment what I mean by that. I do this modality called QRIT, Quantum Regression and Integration Therapy, which I've recently trained in and having great results from clients. One session often cutting through things which have been troubling them for years. And I've witnessed that in my own life as a client of this modality. I'm also a hypnotherapist, been a hypnotherapist for 25 years. And a lot of the things I was doing in hypnotherapy are embraced and included in QRIT, and then with slight changes and updating. I've been a counselor since 2012, and I still have a counseling practice and have hypnotherapy clients. So when it comes to Ascension, this is a cut-down version of a map of consciousness by a man called Dr. David Hawkins. And what he did was he got hundreds of people in different emotional states and did muscle testing to find a numeric value for each emotional state. So right at the bottom, we have 20 for humiliation, and then it goes up through despair, 50, 75, regret. And the higher the number, the higher the vibration, and your vibration goes up as you go through anxiety, craving, hate, scorn, affirmation, and then we go on to trust, optimism, forgiveness, understanding, reverence, serenity, bliss, and then the ineffable. And we all go up through these different levels, and it's not that any of these are bad. It's just that if we linger in them, we're not really progressing. If we stay too long in anxiety or despair or hate, we're not moving spiritually, not developing. And I see my job is to help people move out of any stage they're stuck in and move up the scale. A little poem I wrote, it's about 2 years ago now, after I'd done a training. This came to me, just like to share it with you, called Now is the Time. Now is the time of rapid change. The ties that bind us that still remain be gone. Their time is past. The future beckons and calls us to become the persons we signed up to be, the object of our destiny. You know it in your bones, for this time your spirit honed your mortal frame. Your mind is called to give up the games you play and live your chosen role within the whole. This time is bright, with endless possibility. Live the dream, let go of all futility that held you back. Get now on track to be the superhuman being that you are. Reach for the stars and jump with joy. This is the time, the place the human race comes of age, flies from its cage, free from the bars of limiting beliefs. We are the creators of our world, the champions of our liberty. Now free our siblings from their chains, release them from historic pain, so they too can hold the reins of wonder horses bound for glory. Ride on with us, a posse of possibility. Okay, I'm just checking the chat box again. We get somebody keeps getting blocks. Still figuring it out. That's great. We're all at different places, and sometimes what seems our life purpose at one time, we get there and we find it's moved on with something else. So. Okay, a little bit about my story. I was born in Liverpool in 1956. This is the earliest picture I can find that's definitely of me. Looking quite a chubby baby there. And the poor part of Liverpool in Everton, and it's still a very poor part of Liverpool. And when school league tables came out, my school was fourth from the bottom. So academically, not high flying. And there's me about 10, 11 maybe. Grew up quite a rebel. I decided at an early age I wasn't going to be conditioned by all the information that was fed to me. Of course, you can't avoid some of it. The first 7 years of life, you're like a sponge just soaking in everything around you from your parents and your culture. But by 10, I was aware that I was being conditioned and resisted as much as I could. So I didn't follow what I was being taught about religion in school. I decided early on I was an atheist. And then when I got to secondary school, I got pulled up by the RE teacher who said, "What's going on, Richards? All these people are saying they don't believe in God anymore because you don't." Well, it's nothing to do with me. I'm just making my own mind up, and they think, "Oh, he's a bright chap. He must, he must know what the score is." But yeah, I was converting people to atheism when I wasn't even trying. So yeah, a bit of a rebel, and I rebelled from my culture, which was very anti-academic, and I became more academic in response to that, and I was kind of into science and studying, and I remember also reading about astral travel, telekinesis, and that kind of thing, round about this age, around 10 or 11. So I must have had an esoteric interest at that age. So things changed when I got to 18, because I decided I was going to go to university. No one in my family had been, but I was doing quite well at school by then. And I thought I'll go to the best I can find, and I applied to go to Oxford. Nobody else had done it in the school, and I was kind of really pleasantly surprised when I got an offer to go and study there, Pembroke College, Oxford, and to study zoology. David Attenborough was my childhood hero, and I was fascinated by the natural world, and zoology was my passion at that time. And so off I went to Oxford. Couple of years in, I was having trouble with my level of concentration, and I went to my GP, who sent me to a psychiatrist who said, "Oh, you're depressed, take these pills." And not really addressing what was going on with me. My inner life wasn't being nourished. I was had lots of information being thrown at me, and writing essays and doing experiments and all that stuff, but my inner life was really not flourishing at all. So I left Oxford and started a PhD at the University of York, and got more depressed, and saw another psychiatrist who said, "Oh, you're depressed, take these pills." And I said, "Oh, have you got any therapy?" And he said, "Therapy? I use all my time on my inpatients. I've got no time for therapy." And threw me out the door. So I looked around for something that might help me with, the really low moods I was getting into, and despair, and not getting on with my research. And I came across John Rowan, who was a humanistic psychologist and founder of the Association for Humanistic Psychology, who didn't see people as conditions, saw them as individuals. And I did a residential workshop with him, week long. We did all kinds of stuff: primal therapy, Gestalt dream work, a bit of meditation, some Tai Chi, encounter. And it was just blew my mind. And at the end of that week, I just felt this oneness with everybody. And it was a real peak experience for me. I saw the world could be different. And then went back to my research, and the isolation I felt, and eventually I couldn't do it anymore, and I gave it up. Became a courier in London. Rode motorcycles for 6 years, till I thought, better get what I thought was a proper job. Became a trainee computer programmer in the civil service, and did that for 10 years. So it was something I was good at, and it was well paid. And I was looking around for other things that might nourish my soul. I did some therapy. I did a Jungian analysis, 2.5 years, 4 times a week. And I started having these mystical experiences that looked like spirits and angels. And then I came across Leo Rutherford, shamanic teacher. Has anyone studied shamanism? Anyone know Leo? Yeah. Nina, yes, great. Kim, what's your daughter doing now?
Zoology.
Zoology, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and we've got Damien. Life purpose to look after the 3-year-old boy and help him grow. Yeah. Okay. And get on your health. Yeah. All right. Great. Okay. So Leo is an amazing character, and he's in his 90s now, and he's still doing shamanism workshops, core shamanism. Um, and what I learned from him was that you can enter these other worlds just using a drum beat. Didn't have any plant medicine at that time, so it was just using a drum beat twice a second is the ideal frequency. So it's called sonic driving, and in lots of indigenous cultures, there are these three worlds: the lower world, the middle world, the upper world. And if you go into the lower world, you can meet your power animal. And if you go into the upper world, you can meet your spirit guides. And the middle world is the closest one to this world, where you might find some ghosts hanging out. So I learned how to do soul retrieval, how to find parts of people's souls that have wandered off somewhere in another reality and bring them back. I learned to do extractions when people had energy inside them that shouldn't be there. And I also learned how to be a psychopomp, how to help a disembodied spirit move into the light and stop bothering people. So that just blew my mind. The first time I did a shamanic journey, I thought, God, this is wonderful. It's so unlike anything I'd done before. And I remember at the time saying, well, this is like sex. You couldn't describe it to anyone unless you'd done it. So it's just totally amazing. At the same time, I was still programming my computers, and but after 10 years doing it, I was fed up completely of programming computers. I wanted to be more involved with people. I'd learned the shamanism and I was thinking of counseling, but what I did was I went into public expenditure control. I was in Her Majesty's Treasury, worked with Gordon Brown and Alistair Darling. So I led this double life of being at the one time, doing this kind of very orthodox job, and then my soul was crying out for something more. And eventually these two halves of me just couldn't exist like that anymore. And I went to California via a Vision Quest in Arizona. Vision Quest, when you go out without any food for several days out in the natural world. I was on a rock outcrop, laid out my medicine wheel, and was there for 4 days, just waiting and watching. And when I saw a lizard go from east to west, I took that as a sign I should be going west. And I finished up moving to California. Studied with amazing teachers in California. Matthew Fox is a Dominican friar who really thought Christianity had taken a wrong turning and had emphasized sin too much instead of blessing. He wrote this amazing book, Original Blessing. I was just talking about it today with somebody and got loads of people around him and set up his own university. Jeremy Taylor was a dream worker, taught me how to understand my dreams. And it's a skill I've been using since to work on my own dreams, leading dream groups. John Kirby there and we've done many dream groups together in Liverpool. And the principles of dream work are that all dreams come in the service of health and healing. There are no bad dreams. and that all dream elements are on some level aspects of the dreamer. And by listening to the dreams, attending to the dreams, you find out what your unconscious is trying to say to you. So Jeremy's not with us anymore, but he was a fantastic teacher. Joanna Macy is quite old now, a Buddhist and systems theorist. And it was from Joanna that I heard about Shambhala warriors. And this is relevant to why I think now is the time for us to step up. She said that in Buddhist tradition, there is the prophecy of the Shambhala warrior, that when times are so difficult and traumatic, there will emerge warriors who have the twin weapons of wisdom and compassion. And I think the times are right now for these Shambhala warriors to emerge. Before I move on, I went to Ecuador twice while I was in the States, did ayahuasca with 2 tribes, the Sequoia and the Shuar. Another peak experience, experiencing the oneness of everything, and also seeing that this physical world is illusory, that it has the appearance of being real, but reality is much beyond that. The Rigpa Foundation is a Buddhist organization I meditated with after my first trip to Ecuador. So, next slide. Okay, so Daniel, you've been doing some soul retrieval work. Fantastic. Yeah. Right. So I had all these amazing experiences in California, and then I had to change direction. I'd married an American, and my marriage didn't really last. Came back to Britain, and with well, I was a carer for a while in America. Came back to Britain and tried to become a...
Just get my headphones off.
Okay. Came back to Britain, no job, no money, and stayed with my parents and reinvented myself again. Became a school teacher, or tried. I did a teacher training. I worked with kids for a year, but that also was not really me. I was trying to teach religious education and trying to introduce the kids to, the wealth of experience I'd had, but yeah, that wasn't working, and I don't get well with institutions for some, well, for obvious reasons, really. Schools are not places where kids are learned about their own, kids learn about their own experience. As I found, you don't learn about your own inner life in school. So after a year, I moved into adult ed, taught maths and English to adults, and was starting to get depressed again because it wasn't my goal. Sounds like we've got some children in the background. Are you there, Stephen? Oh yeah, solve that one. Right, so I became an adult educator and um, eventually, thank God, I was made redundant. And I thought, great, I'll do what I want to do now. And I set myself up as a therapist. I had tried in California to study counseling, but it was so psychodynamic, so restrictive. I couldn't really hack it. I was really feeling boxed in by all the theory. I don't do well with dogmas. And the dogma of the education system, the dogma of the American Psychiatric Association were far too restrictive for me. I was feeling hemmed in all the time. Had much better experience being a counselor over here, doing person-centered counseling, which really treats people as an individual, and was enjoying that up to a point when I reached another impasse. It wasn't quite feeding my soul, and um, I got more and more interested in Ascension and the changes that are happening all around the planet and to people waking up. I had these experiences where I was starting to channel other energies myself. And that led me actually into quite a dark time. Now, my dark night of the soul was, I think, its worst over the last couple of years when I got into some really dark places. And then what came along was breath work. Julianne Horrocks, who I think will be watching the replay, I met at a festival called Conscious Camp, and I found that breath work moved through this really dark energy, this depression and trauma, like nothing else I'd done before. I mean, I'd done EMDR training, supposed to cut through trauma, and yet I'd done 20 sessions and it hadn't really taken the edge off it. So breathwork started to move through this stuff. Anyone done any kind of breath work? Yeah, I did. Yes. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So I did some breath work in America, which is holotropic, and the holotropic is for about 3 hours, and you have a psychedelic-like experience. But what Julianne does, sovereignty breathwork, she calls it, is a more of a deep breath in into the abdomen, and then a slow breath out. Why don't we do a couple of the sovereignty breath? I'm not going to take you through a breathwork session, but just move some energy now. If you put your hands on your abdomen and do a deep breath in through the mouth, letting the abdomen go out, and then a relaxed out breath. Couple of those, and just feel how energizing that is. And when you continue doing that to a music track, it brings up your trauma and really shifts the trauma. And you do something called toning, where you're moving your arms rapidly and your legs rapidly and making a sound, and it breaks through the trauma. And you also get into these kind of very ecstatic states of mind, sort of where you feel you're in touch with angels or other intelligences. And it's not known completely how breathwork takes us into those places, but there's one theory that it generates DMT in the brain, and so you're generating your own psychedelic, if it's true. But, seems plausible to me. And then Luke Scott III is my most recent training. Luke Scott has channeled this therapy he calls QRITS, quantum regression and integration therapy. And it's got elements of hypnotherapy, quantum healing, and NLP and Gestalt. There are all kinds of influences that Luke has drawn on, but the way he's put it together, it's a very profound therapy and acts very quickly, and it was able to shift trauma that I'd been carrying around all this lifetime and stuff I'd inherited from ancestors. It was just amazing how it's made such a shift in my life. And now my clients are using QRIT with them, and they're making these really rapid transformations as well. So why now? Why is now the time to step into our power? First of all, we've got the insights. The old Newtonian way of looking at the world is falling apart since the discovery of relativity and quantum physics. And we're finding that science and ancient wisdom are now coming together. The quantum world has shown us how really different the world is from what we used to think it was. For instance, the double slit experiment has shown us that reality, or the particles, change when they're being observed or not. If you shine a light beam through two slits, the light can behave either as a particle or a wave, and it differs according to how you measure the light going through those slits. So that particle wave duality shows us that reality is much more paradoxical than we thought. And the observer effect, the way the observer actually changes, whether it's a particle or wave, just shows us how our consciousness actually helps to create the reality that we see. There was a physicist called Wheeler who said we live in a participatory universe. We actually participate in creating this reality around us. And for me, this means that possibilities are endless. By altering our consciousness, we alter the world around us. As above, so below. We change what's below, we change what's around us. We have the tools now to make these rapid changes. I've just talked about how breathwork and QRIT has transformed my life, and it's transforming the life of my clients. And drawing on dream work, at a retreat I did recently, someone said, I'm surprised how therapeutic the dream work was when we gather in a group and we offer interpretations of one another's dreams. We have everybody's unconscious coming forward and contributing to the change. And the emergence of light language. Lots of people now are given this gift of speaking a language of the soul, which can activate other people and raise their consciousness. So just some of the developments and there are a whole host of new therapies just emerging, and I've got colleagues who work with different dimensions, higher and fifth, eighth, ninth dimensions, and what they're doing is just brilliant work. So the opportunities are now greater than they ever were. And the world needs us now. The way things are developing in the Middle East, the war in Europe, how oppressive regimes are springing up all around the world, the state of poverty in the world hasn't really improved in my lifetime. It's time that this changed. Destruction of the environments. We only have to turn the news on and we get all this stuff. We know that the world that we see is burning. Okay, another reason why now. In the Chinese way of looking at reality, it's the year of the wood dragon. Wood represents spring, symbolizes the desire to pursue and achieve goals. And it's also the human spirit. Opportunities for growth away from failure and frustration, out of those blocks that we've been talking about. Yeah, if you do have questions, just pop them in the chat box as we go along, and I'll do my best to answer. And today is an angel number day. It's 222, the 22nd of the 2nd. And I'm not astrologer or anything, but I am interested in angel numbers. So it's a nudge to trust the journey, a reminder that you're exactly where you need to be right at this moment. And it's a pivotal moment in history, transitioning from what was to what will be. And there's a unique opportunity, an opportunity that these challenging times present to us. So now, more than ever, new energies are emerging, beckoning us to rise to heights of consciousness that were inaccessible to us before. You may have heard about the Earth shifting from 3D to 5D as our consciousness changes, and the consciousness of the Earth changes, the Earth being a living being. Yeah. A rare portal to new beginnings. Fantastic. So we are online now on the right day. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to introduce you to Q-Rit and to do a live healing session. And if you're not sure of your life purpose, I suggest that be your focus today. If you're experiencing blocks, having trouble manifesting, then let that be your focus. Somebody mentioned health issues. If that's what your struggle is at the moment, then focus on those. And so in Q-Rit, we give the mind a little holiday. The mind is a great tool. It's a great servant. It's not such a good master. So we let the mind just take a little break. And we use the body and the imagination. And the breath. And I may use some light language at some point if it feels appropriate. I'll feel into it. And we'll see how we go. And if I ask a question for you to consider, it's always the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, so you'll need to be preferably sitting. You can do it lying, it's up to you, but less likely to fall asleep if you're sitting. And we start by just taking a few deep breaths into the belly. You don't have to breathe through your mouth for this. You can breathe normally. into the belly, and then as you breathe out, just notice the quietness, the stillness. Another deep breath into the belly. Oh no. And one more. Just noticing that place of no thing that we go to in between breaths, where we can just drop into the quantum field, a place of all possibilities. And now I'd like you to imagine surrounding yourself with a bubble of the purest love you can conceive of. It may have color, may not. And just feel enveloped in that love right now. If you're having trouble thinking of that pure love, just think of the love you might have for a child, or the love a loving parent might have for a child. And just bathe in that love for a moment. And now the intention we talked about earlier, whether it's knowing your life purpose, moving through blocks, health issues, just bring that to mind. And as you do so, just be aware of your body. Just notice if there's any tension, any pain, any feelings coming up. And there's something that will draw your attention as being what you need to focus on today. Some aspect of the body, some feeling, calling out to be addressed. And whatever it is, I'd like you to locate it where it is in your body. And just check in. If it had a color, what color would it be? Just make a mental note. If it had a texture, what texture would it be? It had a shape. What shape would it be? Now imagine that love just seeping in into that part of the body and dissolving that shape, that texture, that color. And then breathing out the particles that assemble in front of you in a cloud. You breathe in the love. As you breathe out those particles in until they form a cloud in front of you. Like a cloud of smoke. And then with the next few breaths, that shape that you've been focusing on, that color, that texture will be completely dissolved. Leaving just this cloud of what looks like smoke in front of you. And with the next breath, I'd just like you to blow that cloud away so it goes off into the universe to be transformed into love. As you do so, you may see a figure in front of you. And if there's a human figure, you might like to ask them why they've shown up today, what they've got to teach you. If it's not a human figure, just tune in to what is in front of you now. Is there a message from whatever it is? I'm just going to share some light language now. Phew. And whatever energy is in front of you right now, dive into it until you see a scene emerge from your life, just like a movie. Just take note of what's happening. Who's, what's the significance? Did you make a decision which has brought you to where you are now? Is there something you need to change in this movie, if you can see one? There's something you started to believe about yourself that you need to let go of. Step into your power. And we're going to be moving on now. So if there is a movie playing, just let it go. Return to your body. And in that part of the body where you had that shape, that color, that texture, just invite any energy you'd like to replace it with, whether it's love or wisdom or compassion, the energy you'd like to receive, just invite it now. And notice how your body feels now. Now I'd like you to imagine a golden door in front of you. And behind this golden door is the highest and best version of yourself. Just open the door and have a look at this person. Note what they look like, what they feel like. Have they got some advice for you about your life purpose, about moving through blocks, about healing? Have they got a gift for you? Have they got some energy that you'd like in your life right now? So you can download it just like downloading from the cloud onto your computer, claiming that energy for yourself. And then giving thanks as we say goodbye to that version of you, closing the door. If there's anyone you need to forgive right now, you might call them to mind and use the Ho'oponopono prayer. I love you. Thank you. Please forgive me. Just going to send some energy around the group now. If there's any DNA that needs upgrading, I invite you to receive it. Into every cell, every strand of DNA. Raising your vibration. I'd like to invite in also the violet flame to burn up anything that no longer serves you. Any energy, any restrictive belief. Just inviting that violet flame to transform anything that's no longer serving you into pure love. So that when you leave here today, when you leave the session, you have the belief in yourself that you are good enough to live your life path. You are worthy. That the universe is enough to support you. And whatever you need will be laid before you, whether it's teachers, healers, books, videos, opportunities. And be aware that this healing operates across all dimensions, all directions of time and space, all past lives, all future lives. From now to the beginning of time and beyond. And now just take a couple of deep breaths in to seal in this process. Bringing your attention back to your body. Feeling your bottom on the seats, feet on the floor, starting to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Your attention back to the room around you. Would anyone like to share anything about their experience? Hi,
Yeah.
how was it for you?
Um,
Is there anything you want to share about it?
it was like I'd gone into a cathedral
Mm,
that was and I couldn't tell you what sort of time it was in. It was I thought it would be a safe place to get some children into because there was bombing taking place, but
mm,
the cathedral got hit.
yeah.
Um, and I was then sort of as we came out of that, we were mid and looked like an Egyptian goddess
Mm,
was there, and
yeah.
she green, pink, blue, and purple stone in it, and then put like a crown on my head that had loads of diamonds on it and gold.
Wow.
And when we went into it, I saw an Arcturian guide come through.
Mm, great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing.
I'd like to share if I may.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I came back for a second time because I didn't manage to properly see the last one, and I'm really, really glad I did. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Dennis. Um, yeah, I went back to a memory. Well, actually, but when the smoke cleared,
Mm,
um, I could see a figure. And it was a strange one because it was I initially heard the name Hades,
mm-hmm,
um, but then Thor came in as well. It's
mm-hmm,
not something I know about at all. This, so but I could just see these figures, and it was for me. It's more I don't really get images very as much. I'm very clairsentient, and I tend to kind of just feel the things. So it can just the information just kind of comes in. And yeah, they basically the message was because I've been getting a lot of pain in my neck, and it's
mm,
something that it's kind of something that's been ongoing for a while.
yeah.
And the pain it showed up as like a barbed wire,
Mm,
like a fence, like it was a barrier around me.
yeah.
And it was saying break through and Thor was saying break through the barriers. Um, and I think that Hades was maybe it was representing maybe fear and darkness. And it was basically, I could see the Thor's like hammer, whatever, kind of
Mm,
getting rid of all the the barriers around my neck and everything and kind of breaking through that. And
mm,
then when it asked about you asked about kind of a movie scene to come in, it then
mm-hmm,
showed me a memory of something that happened when I was a little girl with my dad when it was very unpredictable, and it was very took me by surprise, you know.
Yeah.
And in that moment, what I'd actually decided was that I wasn't safe. Nobody was safe. I couldn't trust anybody. And that everything was my fault, you know, and I was going to make everyone angry, and nobody was ever going to nobody wanted to be around me.
Yeah.
I was just annoying. I was unlovable and all this kind of stuff. So that kind of I had a really good cry, a really good release. And it's interesting because that's a memory that I've actually worked on before, and I thought I'd resolved. But yeah, that was great. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. There are often layers. I find memories keep coming back, and there are more things to clear.
Yeah.
And it goes deeper and deeper, and then suddenly it's all gone.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great. You said you were very chilled, John. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, it's weird. I did have some memories earlier on, but I can't remember them.
No.
But there was one of like a snake, and there was a white wall, and it was hanging high up, and it just fell down. It didn't seem I didn't get much emotion from it, you know, it wasn't frightening, it wasn't friendly, it was just, you know, that's interesting. But for me, it could be, as I'm speaking now, I think it's about like really grounding, coming down to earth. So the snake's often the Kundalini energy, and it's the fact it's dropping to earth seems relevant. So I think for me, that's about grounding and being fully here. Yeah, but really good. Yeah, very, very lovely. Towards the end, I did lose a bit of what you were saying, but I was just floating.
Yeah. I'm sure you got what you needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good.
Right, a message from Catherine. Every effect you see in your outside or physical world has been triggered by a particular cause created by your mental or inner world. Every thought, word, or action of you, the cause, has set in motion a specific series of manifestations that have materialized in your reality over time, called the effect. The energy you put in is the energy you will receive in return, good or bad. And she got onyx. Thank you for that, Catherine.
Can I share a little bit more?
Yes, please.
And the reason that I put that in the chat is just I looked it up and seemed to look at why I got onyx, and it was like really, really strong. So going through the journey that you led us on there, I just got like sort of messages, which was always receiving, always letting go. Trust yourself.
Yeah.
And then massively like was onyx.
Right.
So I looked it up afterwards. That I just pasted that from what I looked, and which made sense to me was it's just that was the gift, you know, when you said like, so what was the gift that it kept going onyx. So I looked up what it was that I was gonna get from that, and it makes so much sense. Okay. The whole thing makes sense.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Do you have some onyx?
No, but I think I need to get some.
Okay. All right.
Well, I may have. I've got so many like sort of crystals within stuff. I'll show you. Like, I don't know if you can see them there. That's pyramid things.
Oh yeah.
There's all sorts in there, but I've not really got a clue what's in for the most part.
Yeah.
but I think I'm being guided that onyx is the thing. Is
Yeah.
the gift that I need at the minute. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Sandra has to go. Oh no, sorry. No, someone has to go. Who's that? Oh yeah, Sandra has to go. Yeah. Okay. So any more sharing before we move on? And if you didn't have a lot going on, that's fine too. Everyone gets what they need at this particular moment. So going to go back to the slides. There's a few more slides. I'll be sharing how you can work with me if you want to work with me. If you don't, that's fine. I only want people who are called into this work to work with me. Okay. So I'm launching a new program next week on the leap day, the 29th of February, called Soul Seekers, where you will connect with the highest and best version of you and clarify your life purpose if it's not already clear to you. Remove those subconscious blocks, the blocks to manifesting your dream life, your actually bringing your life purpose to fruition. We'll be looking at ancestral and past life burdens that might be holding you back and clearing those. Connecting you with your inner wisdom, your inner GPS, we call it in Curate. If you have spirit guides or power animals, we'll also be looking at those. Or if you want to connect with spirit guides or power animals, we all have them. Spending more time in those upper levels of Hawkins' scale there, moving into peace, joy, and bliss. We'll be using breath work to clear trauma and also to regulate our emotions. Dream work and art, meditation, activating the imagination. Fear is just misdirected imagination. Instead of imagining the wonderful world that we're going to create, fear takes us into an opposite direction. So it's using our imagination productively to manifest. And then concluding by becoming a conscious activist in whatever that means, whatever that emerges, your role in the world to do, so that we create a better world for everyone. And as we work in the group, when one rises, we all rise. We're all rising up that scale together. And there's a difference in doing this work in the group than when we do it on our own. It amplifies the effect in the quantum field, and the support of other people will be an added blessing as we do this work together. So the course is 10 2-hour sessions, 7 to 9 p.m. on Thursdays. There's 2 hours of individual work as well, working one-on-one with me, which you can take as half-hour or 1 hour or 2-hour sessions. You'll be supported in a private Facebook and WhatsApp group where you can raise questions anytime. There's a workbook to complete, and it'll involve between a half an hour and an hour's homework each day, such as journaling, writing the takeaways from the group sessions, doing some written exercises or maybe some breath exercises. There'll be an optional reading list for those of you who want to dive deep into the theory. And there are 3 bonus sessions, which 2 take place after the course. The Sacred Ecology session with Peace Ravenwood is about rewilding yourself, getting yourself back in touch with your own nature and the nature around you. Sound Healing with Nara Luesi. Nara is a very gifted healer who works with tuning forks and crystal bowls, and will be talking about clearing your aura with sound. That's a practical session. And the Sacred Ecology with Peace, there may be some cacao in that. I will find out from Peace, but Peace is putting that together at the moment. The money mindset, if you think money might be an issue, Denise Mortimer, money mindset coach, has made this course available right from the beginning so that you can start working on abundance, on manifesting the money you need to move forward. Right. Now, how do you value a course like this? Well, I'm putting what I've learned from 30 years psychotherapy and countless workshops into this course. So what it's cost me to get this far is about £65,000. But I'm not going to charge you £65,000, you'll be pleased to know. The cost for the course is £1,200, or if you're in, well, I don't know, there may be somebody watching in the US on the replay, $1,520 US, which can be paid as one single payment, or it can be paid in 3 installments or 4 installments, or if there's some other payment arrangement you'd like, then we can talk about that. I don't want anyone to be excluded because of the money. If you're called to work with me, then that's how it should be. I don't want to make money an obstacle. Just leave that on there while I ask if there are any questions about the course, about what we did. Just putting the payment link into the chat box if anyone needs it. I'm happy to talk afterwards privately about anyone who wants more information about this. There are other ways of working with me, one-on-one and retreats. And if you want to talk about those, I'll be happy to talk about those afterwards. And I'll make the replay available if you weren't able to pay attention to the healing session. I've found it's just as effective as a replay as it is live. I've listened to many replays and I get something different every time. So yeah, I'll make it available, and you can use it at your leisure. Stop that share. So anything anybody would like to share going forward now? Oh, if you're interested in training in QRITs, there you can learn QRIT at level 1 in 2 days online, and I can put you in touch with Luke Scott, who's doing the QRIT trainings. I'm training to be a QRIT master, and I'll be running trainings myself. So if you want to stay on my mailing list, I'll let you know when those trainings are available. And with QRIT, we develop our own version of QRIT. It's not set in stone, so every QRIT master will have a slightly different training. So I've already decided I'm going to have light language in my trainings. They're not in Luke's trainings. Yeah, and I will probably put it in the context of Ascension as well, so that that's the focus. Yeah. All right, so we're coming to the end of this session. Are there any parting comments, people? Anything anyone would like to share?
Well, yeah, just that it looks amazing. Really does look amazing. Yeah, I'll definitely be having a chat with you, I think, about
Okay. Yeah, wonderful.
yeah, possibility of coming on board.
Yeah, there are a maximum of 12 places. We still have places at the moment. Yeah, and
Cool.
yeah, so yeah, you want to send me a WhatsApp? Yeah.
Yeah, will do.
Mm.
Will do.
Wonderful.
Cheers, Dennis.
Okay. Right. If anyone wants to stay behind and chat one-on-one, I'll be here for a while. Otherwise, I'll bid you good night. And thank you for coming.